Hi everybody, it's Christina from Card Making Magic. To continue the theme with watercolouring with distress inks, this is now part 3. In part 1 we did the skin, and in part 2 we did the hair. And it doesn't matter how many times you colour this image, it will always look different. The hair will be different, the skin may be slightly different, but you will get the feel of what you're doing with the distress inks. So now to move on to part 3, we're going to colour in the clothes on the little image. So I'm now going to do the 2 bows in her hair, the butterfly and the flowers in aged mahogany. And again I'm going to go over each part and just dampen it down. It just helps the ink to flow a little bit better. Okay, and then I'm going to water down some mahogany, aged mahogany, and take the surplus off on my brush. Now when you're doing the ribbons, if you look inside the bow, that is where it would be shadow and dark. So I'm just going to put the shadow inside the bow, and also where the 2 shade lines are, where the ribbon would be gathered, that would also be quite dark. So I'm just putting some mahogany in there, aged mahogany. Now just leave the ends of the ribbon clear, clean your brush off, and while it's damp just spread out the aged mahogany so that it comes to the end of the ribbon. And that now looks as if there's some shading to the ribbon. And we're going to repeat the process with the other bow. Do the inside the darkest, do the crease lines in the bow and the knot darker, and then clean and dry off your brush, and then just spread the paint out to the edges. I'm just going to add a little bit more. And there's the shape to the bow. That needs a bit more. So to create some depth to the flowers and the butterfly, you're going to do more or less the same thing. Start in the centre where it would be dark in the flower and add your darkest bit, and then just start to go up the petals, not right to the edge but just around where they would be shaded, and again clean off your brush, and then while it's still damp just spread your paint out to the edges of the flower, and that just gives a little bit of shape to the actual flower head. And I've done the same with the other 2 and the butterfly. So I'm just going to do the rest of the painting in the same colours that I've put out. I'm not going to use anything different. You can make a really nice picture with just a very limited palette. So I'm going to do the top in the same aged mahogany, and I've already pre-wet the image. But if you look at where the shade would be, it would be under her top, because that's the inside of the garment. So you do those bits the darkest. There would be shade around the top where her arm is, and there would be shade on the little bit under the sleeve part, and I think we'll also have some shade on the lower part of the ribbon, and again into the crease lines. So clean your brush off, and now you're just going to spread this colour around. Now for the trousers I'm going to use the walnut stain, and I'm just going to dilute some of it down with a clean brush. I've already wet the area that I need, and again you're going to look at where the shadows would be. Don't put too much in to start, because you can always add more shadow when you need it. But if you look under the trousers, which is again the inside of the garment, that would be quite dark. I've coloured the patches in with the Aged Mahogany. Now some more shadow, or the darker parts of the trousers, I'm just going to turn the painting round, would be at the back. So again, very carefully with your brush, come into the back, the right hand side of the garment, the back part of the garment. And if you think about it, this leg would also be in the shade, so we're just going to put some shade down the leg part. Now again, clean your brush and dry it off, and then all you're going to do is just spread this colour through into the rest of the trouser. So you're just going to spread it around so that you can see the shade in the trousers themselves. Now if you want to darken it more, you can always add a little bit more colour in, just to blend it in a little bit better. And I think we can call those trousers finished. So the last thing I'm going to do, or the next thing I'm going to do, is just colour in the leaves. And I've watered down the forest moss, and I'm just going to put the diluted part onto the leaves. And I'm just going to run some streaks of it into the grass. Once that's dried off a little bit, you can always go back in and go straight to the darker part and add some shadow, just to give a little bit of depth to the actual painting. There we go. Now I've also decided that my little girl is going to have some brown eyes, so I'm just going to turn it upside down, and I'm going into the darkest part of the walnut stain. And all I'm going to do is just, if you look where the black part of the eye is, I'm just going to go around the outside edge of that, and that gives the girl beautiful brown eyes. And there she is. She's all finished. So I've die cut the shape out, and just to add a finishing touch to the edges, I'm using one of my blending blocks and the Aged Mahogany. So if you dab it onto your ink, and then just take the surplus off onto your mat, and then start on the outside and swirl your way in, so that you're going just over the edges, and that will just put a little border around your card. So once you've completed your image, you're then ready to make your card, and this is the colour scheme that I've gone for. I've stayed with the like the maroon colour, and I've used a very pretty green to go with it. I've also made the box for the card to go in. Okay, as normal, we complete the inside as well. So there you have your finished card.